If you are over the age of 60 and you take a vitamin B12 supplement every single day, I need you to pause what you are doing and listen very closely to what I'm about to say. You might be making a critical mistake that is preventing you from seeing any real results. In my medical practice, I hear the same frustrating story almost every week. A patient will sit across from me and say, "Doctor, I take my B12 faithfully every morning, so why am I still feeling so exhausted? Why do I feel like I'm living in a mental fog? Or why am I getting these dizzy spells and that strange numbness in my hands and feet?" Just the other day, a 65-year-old patient named George came to me with these exact concerns. George had been taking his B12 supplement for nearly 8 years without fail. On paper, his blood tests looked perfectly normal, yet his daily reality was a different story. His energy was cratering, his balance felt shaky, and his memory was starting to slip away. What shocked George the most was the discovery that he wasn't actually lacking the vitamin in his system. He was simply taking it the wrong way. Recent medical research reveals that one specific, incredibly common mistake made by adults over 60 can actually block absorption entirely and lead to silent, long-term nerve damage. In today's video, I'm going to pull back the curtain on this mistake. I'll explain why most doctors completely overlook it, and more importantly, I will show you the correct way to take vitamin B12 so it actually does its job of supporting your brain, protecting your nerves, and restoring your youthful energy. Before we dive into the science, I'd love to hear from you. Please drop a comment below with your age and where you are tuning in from today. Are you currently taking B12, but still struggling with fatigue, brain fog, or tingling sensations? Share your experience with us because your story helps this entire community grow stronger. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve with life-saving health strategies designed to help you thrive after 60, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our Evergreen Seniors family. We share new insights every week to help you live your best life. The biggest hurdle we face is a dangerous myth. Most people assume that if a standard blood test shows a normal B12 level, then everything is fine. But for those of us over 60, that assumption is often dead wrong. Vitamin B12 is the bedrock of nerve function, brain health, and the production of red blood cells. Without enough usable B12, your nervous system literally begins to malfunction. This is why the early warning signs often look like tingling in your extremities, trouble with balance, or those frustrating lapses in memory. The core of the problem is that as we age, our body's internal machinery for absorbing B12 breaks down. By the time we hit 60, more than half of all adults have significantly reduced stomach acid. Why does that matter? Because stomach acid is the key that unlocks B12 from your food and your supplements. Without it, the vitamin simply passes through your system unused. I saw this with a patient named Martha, who was 72. She was dealing with a burning sensation in her feet and constant dizziness. Her previous doctor saw a B12 level of 420 and told her she was fine, but her symptoms were screaming otherwise. What most people don't realize is that a standard blood test only shows how much B12 is floating in your bloodstream, not how much is actually getting inside your cells where it's needed. In older adults, your blood can look saturated with B12, while your nerves are literally starving to death. This is the hidden reason why so many seniors supplement for years and feel absolutely no improvement. But there is a specific reason why your body might be rejecting the very pills you're swallowing, and it all comes down to a missing protein you probably haven't heard of yet. This brings us to the first major mistake that almost every senior makes. Most people take their vitamin B12 as a standard tablet and swallow it with a glass of water, just like any other pill. They naturally assume that their digestive system will handle the rest. However, for those over 60, this delivery method is often a complete waste of time. You see, B12 absorption relies heavily on a very specific protein produced in the stomach called intrinsic factor. As we get older, our production of this protein drops off a cliff. Without enough intrinsic factor to latch onto the vitamin, those swallowed tablets are poorly absorbed, if they are absorbed at all. This isn't some rare medical condition. It is an extremely common reality for the majority of seniors. Think back to George, the 65-year-old patient I mentioned earlier. He was taking his B12 exactly as directed every single morning. He used the same reputable brand and the same dose for years, yet his nerves were steadily deteriorating. The breakthrough happened when we changed the way he took the vitamin, not the amount he was taking. Within just a few weeks of shifting his method, his symptoms finally began to turn around. This is why the form and delivery of your B12 matter just as much, if not more, than the dosage itself. If you're finding this eye-opening so far, please take a second to hit that like button. It really helps our channel reach more people who might be struggling with these same issues without knowing why. Now, let's pull back the curtain on the second massive mistake: taking the wrong form of the vitamin. If you walk into any local pharmacy or grocery store and look at the B12 supplements on the shelf, you will see one specific name listed on almost every bottle: Cyanocobalamin. Manufacturers love it because it's cheap to produce and very shelf-stable. But for adults over 60, it is often the least effective option you can choose. Cyanocobalamin is a synthetic form of B12, which means your body cannot use it immediately. It has to go through a complex conversion process to be turned into active B12. This conversion requires a perfectly functioning liver, specific enzyme activity, and a high level of antioxidants. In our 60s and 70s, that internal conversion factory often slows down significantly. I remember a patient named Robert, age 72, who had been taking Cyanocobalamin for years. His blood levels appeared acceptable, yet he was struggling with numbness in his fingers, and his walking was becoming increasingly difficult. As soon as we switched him to Methylcobalamin, which is a pre-activated form of B12, the results were night and day. Within 1 month, his balance stabilized, and after 3 months, that persistent numbness had largely vanished. Clinical research confirms that active forms like methylcobalamin and adenylcobalamin are absorbed and utilized far more efficiently in the senior body. But even if you have the right form, there is a third error regarding how often you take it that could be stalling your recovery. Most people treat B12 like a quick fix, but your nerves actually have a much slower, more demanding repair schedule than you might think. This leads us directly into the third major mistake, and it's one that surprises most of my patients because it has nothing to do with the pill itself. It has to do with timing and consistency. I see so many people who only take their vitamin B12 when they're feeling particularly exhausted. They might skip several days in a row, or they stop taking it altogether the moment they feel a little bit better, only to start again weeks later. Here is the reality: your nerve tissue does not heal that way. You have to stop thinking of vitamin B12 as a stimulant or a quick energy drink. It is a repair nutrient. Your nerves require a steady daily supply of B12 to rebuild the myelin sheath, which is the protective coating that keeps your nervous system firing correctly. Intermittent dosing is like trying to build a house but only showing up to work once every 2 weeks. The repair process just stalls out. Take the case of a 70-year-old patient of mine named Elaine. She treated B12 like an as-needed rescue remedy, only taking it on days when she felt completely drained. While she'd get a tiny boost that day, her underlying numbness, balance issues, and memory lapses never actually moved the needle. Once we got her on a strict daily schedule without skipping, her health finally began to stabilize. After 2 months of consistency, the tingling stopped getting worse, and by the 4-month mark, her balance had significantly improved. Another frequently overlooked factor is the specific time of day you take your supplement. Many seniors have a habit of taking all their vitamins right before bed, but for some, taking B12 late at night can actually interfere with sleep. As we know, poor sleep spikes your cortisol, increases internal inflammation, and slows down the very nerve repair we are trying to achieve. For the best results, I recommend taking your B12 earlier in the day, either in the morning or early afternoon. This supports your natural energy levels during the day without wrecking your rest at night. And we can't forget about hydration. Vitamin B12 operates inside cells that are heavily dependent on proper fluid balance. Chronic, mild dehydration is incredibly common as we age, and it actively reduces the transport of nutrients into your nerve tissue. If you're taking the best B12 in the world, but you aren't drinking enough water, your results are going to be limited. Lastly, you must be aware of B12 blockers in your medicine cabinet. Common medications like acid blockers, metformin for blood sugar, and even certain antibiotics can severely hamper how your body handles B12. I'm not saying you should stop these vital medications, but it means you have to be much more strategic about how you supplement to overcome those obstacles. Most seniors aren't failing because of one big error. They are doing 5 or 6 small things wrong at the same time, and those small mistakes are cancelling out all the benefits. So how do we fix this? I'm about to walk you through the exact step-by-step protocol I use with my own patients to ensure they are getting every ounce of benefit from their B12. Now, let me walk you through the precise vitamin B12 protocol I implement with my own patients over the age of 60 to ensure they aren't just taking a supplement, but actually healing. First, we must address the form. For most of you, the gold standard is methylcobalamin, or a powerful duo of methylcobalamin and adenylcobalamin. These are the active, body-ready forms. Your system can put them to work immediately for nerve repair and cognitive function without having to struggle through a conversion process it might no longer be able to handle. You should generally avoid relying on Cyanocobalamin, especially if you are already noticing symptoms like numbness or brain fog. Second, we need to change how that B12 enters your body. As we've discussed, swallowing a standard pill often leads to zero results because of changes in your digestive tract. Instead, you should switch to sublingual B12. By placing a tablet or liquid under your tongue and letting it dissolve slowly, the vitamin bypasses the stomach entirely and enters your bloodstream directly through the oral tissues. This single shift can be the difference between failure and a dramatic improvement in how you feel. Next is the dosage. When it comes to supporting aging nerves, low doses frequently fail to move the needle. Most seniors require higher amounts to push past those absorption barriers. A common and effective therapeutic range is between 1,000 and 2,000 micrograms daily. Don't be alarmed by those numbers. B12 is water-soluble, meaning your body is designed to safely excrete whatever it doesn't need. Consistency is our fourth pillar. You must take it every single day, not just when you remember or when you feel down. Nerve repair is a slow, methodical process that happens over weeks and months. If you skip days, you are essentially pausing the construction crew that is trying to fix your nervous system. Fifth, timing is everything for your circadian rhythm. Take your dose in the morning or early afternoon. This aligns with your body's natural energy cycles and prevents the vitamin from keeping you awake at night. Finally, remember that B12 works best when it has its team around it. It often requires partners like folate and vitamin B6 for full nerve support. However, be careful with synthetic folic acid. Natural folate or methylfolate is typically much better for the senior body to process. By following this roadmap, you stop guessing and start supporting your health with clinical precision. But how do you know if it's actually working? Most people look at the wrong signs, and they give up just before the miracle happens. I'm going to show you exactly what to look for to measure your real progress. When you begin this new protocol, it is vital to monitor your progress the right way. The most important lesson I can teach you is this. Do not judge your success solely by a lab report. You need to pay attention to your symptoms and how your body actually feels. Are your hands feeling less numb? Is your balance becoming more stable when you walk? Is that mental fog finally starting to lift? These real-world changes are far more meaningful than any number on a piece of paper. I once worked with a 75-year-old woman who followed this exact plan. After 3 months, her blood tests had barely changed, but her life was transformed. She stopped falling, her confidence returned, and she was steady on her feet again. That is what real success looks like. However, we must also be realistic. While vitamin B12 is powerful, it isn't magic. There are times when B12 alone won't solve everything. If you have been dealing with long-standing nerve damage from years of diabetes or spinal degeneration, B12 can support the repair, but it cannot reverse severe structural issues overnight. Chronic inflammation and high blood sugar can also act as silent blockers, interfering with nerve signaling and nutrient delivery. This is why it is so important to manage your stress, improve your sleep, and keep your glucose levels in check. Most importantly, know when it's time to look deeper. Not every case of tingling or weakness is caused by a vitamin deficiency. Conditions like carpal tunnel or spinal compression can mimic B12 symptoms. I remember a 73-year-old man who doubled his B12 dose on his own, but saw no improvement. It turned out he had spinal stenosis. His nerves were being physically squeezed. Once we got the right diagnosis, his B12 routine finally became a supportive part of his healing, rather than a frustration. Let's bring this all together into your action plan. If you are over 60, stop worrying about just the lab numbers. Switch to an active form like Methylcobalamin and use a sublingual delivery method to bypass digestion. Be consistent, take it in the morning, and stay hydrated to help that B12 reach your brain and nerves. When taken the right way, vitamin B12 can be a total game changer for your energy and memory. Before you head out, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Comment below with your age, where you're watching from, and what form of B12 you're currently using. Are you planning to make any of these changes? I read every single comment because I love seeing this community thrive. If this information helped you, please share it with a friend or a loved one who needs to hear it. And don't forget to click that subscribe button for more science-backed health tips created specifically for our evergreen seniors. Stay healthy, and I will see you in the next one.